בעצם היום הזה נאמר אברהם, in the middle of the day, in the essence of the day, Abraham was circumcised. To understand the question that's brought down in Svarim. Why didn't Abraham Avinu circumcise himself earlier? He was 99 years old. And at that time, says the Gemara, Abraham Avinu fulfilled the entire Torah, all 612 commandments. Even the commandments of the rabbis, like the Eidiv of Tefillin, to be able to cook from Yom Tif to Shabbos. And yet, he did not fulfill the mitzvah. He omitted the mitzvah of circumcision. To first understand what is Mila, circumcision, all about. It says, it's not in heaven, to say, who will go up to the heavens to acquire it. I should take this Mila. The words Mi, the first letter of these four words is the word Mila, and the final letter is spelled out God's name. What does that mean? There are two contradictory verses. On one hand, it says, you shall circumcise the foreskin of your heart. And then it says, and God will be the one who will circumcise your heart. So who is it? Is it you or God? In other words, the milah, the mitzvah of circumcision that we do on an 8-day-old child, on an 8-day-old boy, is not only a physical thing, it's also a spiritual thing for both men and women. Besides the fact that women are born circumcised, according to the Talmud, this concept is more than a physical circumcision. It represents the circumcision of the heart. Peter, there are two aspects of circumcision. The first one is the from below to above. We have to be the one to circumcise the heart. We need a tshuva, which means literally the mitzvah of tshuva, of repenting, of returning to God. Which because of the mitzvahs to return to God. How do you return to God? Not only I feel guilty, not only I return to God by the fact that I do, the right thing. I'm a good person. Literally, the way I return to God is by adding to my Torah and mitzvahs. And you saw this in the Golden, and it says, if Jewish people do tshuva, then God is going to redeem them. If not, they won't be redeemed. After the gathering of the exiles, it says, God tells us, and I will bring you to the land, and I will do good to you. This is the mitzvah of milah, which is from above to below. In other words, God will do this. God will then circumcise our heart to a whole new level. So there are two levels. There's a level of tshuva from below to above that we return to God. And after that, God returns to us by bringing us greater gifts and then Shekhinah and divine presence. And that is the meaning, I will do good for you more than even I did for your forefathers. Based on the good that has been hidden for you. And therefore, we find this concept of good is by Moshe Rabbeinu. It says, Moses was born circumcised, as if God performed the circumcision. And what does it say in the Torah? And they saw the house was good. It was good in the house. It was light in the house. In other words, this circumcision is connected with God's goodness. In other words, there are two aspects of circumcision. There's the lower circumcision that we have to return to God, the higher circumcision that God will circumcise our hearts and bring us into a new level of light and holiness and spirituality that we will be able to internalize. This second level of milah that only God can do, pertain to this higher level of circumcision, the circumcision that God will do. It says, who can go up to the heavens. The first letters of each word spell out the word Mila Shkevis, Mila Shuvah, for this is higher than the Torah. This level of Mila, this level of Tshuva, this level of God's inspiration is a level which is higher than the Torah. For the Torah, it says, it's not in the heaven. She spells the matter of the Torah came down to this world. Rabbi Shua, it says, the Rabbi Shua says, one should not listen even to a heavenly voice that says the Torah law. Why? Because the rabbis down here have to decide what to do. The Nigla Torah is Havaya, and therefore it's called the Torah of God. Why? Because the word Havaya, God, represents this concept of the chain reaction down here to this world. Shem Havaya, Yud, Tzimtzum, Hey, Spashos, Vavam, Shacha. The four letters of God represent this chain reaction, starting from the letter Yud, which represents the contraction, and then the Hey, which is the Spashos, expansiveness, and then the Vav, which means the descent, and then the final Hey again, expansiveness down here in this world. Therefore, this represents the Torah, which comes down to this world and belongs down here. Avon Mila, but this level of Mila. And now, the Lamaila Shem Havaya is higher than the name of God, is higher than the Shem Havaya, is higher than Torah. Therefore, it's found at the beginning of the word, and the Shem Havaya, in contrast to the name of God, which is found, the Soif Tevis, at the end of the word. From here we see that a word that is formed from the first letters, the Rosh Tevis, is greater than a word that is formed from the end of the word. And therefore Mila is connected with the heavens, in contrast to Torah, which is beneath the heavens. Therefore our rabbis tell us, greater is Mila, greater is Mila for upon it. There are 13 covenants that God gives us. Peter's Gedela Milahu Bechnes Mila Gedela Shumaylamata. What does it mean? Greater is Mila means the greater level in Mila, not the lower Mila, but the higher Mila, not the lower circumcision, but the higher circumcision. That God will circumcise your heart. Therefore, we have 13 brises, 13 covenants. Peter's Shchidua, Shini is bris. Now, the Alter Rebbe gives a fundamental concept here. What is the meaning of a bris? What is the purpose of a covenant? What does it mean? And that is, gives a very deep, beautiful insight. That is, the idea is bris, who we might have been say called the idea of a covenant, of bris, a circumcision, is something which is beyond logic, b'hadas, and understanding. What is it? Two friends, for example. Two friends who make a covenant to be lovers. One with the other, and that is, two friends love each other. They said, let's make a covenant, which really is the definition of marriage. Two people love each other. They say, let's get married. Why? Why get married? We love each other. It's fine. But the answer is the idea of the marriage, the idea of the covenant. And similarly, the covenant between man and God is that right now we love each other. But there might come a time through life's challenges that we might decide to separate from each other. And because of this, we're making now the covenant that we're going to stick together in thick and thin. In other words, even when there are going to be hardships, even though things may tell us to separate, we're going to work it out together. We're going to go dig deeper and find a deeper place of reality and holiness and strength to be able to work it out. You know why? Because we love each other. The fact is, right now we love each other. Therefore, we're made for each other. And the fact that we have these challenges is not good enough of a reason to cause us to separate this relationship. Now, therefore, through making this covenant, we have this ability to access this higher level of Mila, this higher level of this covenant with Almighty God, which has within a tremendous growth. The fact that we have this higher Mila, we access the 13 attributes of mercy, which is higher than intellect, and understanding. And therefore, it is higher than God's name, even higher than Torah. Just like the 13 attributes are higher than Torah. That is why, at that location, when you have the 13 attributes of mercy, God forgives you for your sin because you're beyond sin. You're beyond the Torah. Torah says you violated me, therefore you deserve to get a punishment. And now we override that Torah. We go to a place higher than Torah. And therefore you have forgiveness. That's the meaning until your nation will go over the river. Amcha, your nation will go over the river, also means Yaver, to go over the name of God, Pirush. Ad Yaver until you will exercise this concept, and that is to ascend and to override and to elevate yourself even beyond the name of God. You find before you begin to recite the 13 attributes of mercy every day in the prayers, say V'yaver Hashem, and God went and he went over what? He went over his own name, his name of the Tetragrammaton, his Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, his ineffable name, which is somewhat of a limitation. He overrides that name. He goes beyond that name. He exalts himself outside of that name, and therefore is able to bring about atonement and a good, which is so great that is hidden. And that's the meaning Abraham fulfilled the entire Torah. Even though it was not yet given, it was given in the year 2448, and Abraham was born in the year 1948 in the Jewish calendar. Yet he did the whole Torah, all 612 mitzvahs and the 7 mitzvahs of the rabbis. However, he did not do the mitzvah of circumcision. Why? He could have done it on his own, but then he only would access the lower level of circumcision. He wanted the higher level of circumcision, that God should do it. The circumcision of above to below, that comes from God, higher than Torah, higher than God's name. Therefore, he did his. He did all 612 mitzvahs from below to above. And after that, then he deserved to have this higher milah. He was rewarded with this higher milah. And God came down and revealed himself to him and said, now circumcise yourself. That's because of Abraham, and that is why the Torah is very explicit in the wording. It doesn't say Abraham had a circumcision or did the circumcision. Rather, Nemo, he was circumcised, as if it happened from above. It doesn't say that Abraham circumcised himself because of God, Brit Mila, as it says, pertaining to Yishmael, the Miknas Kasplay. And his other servants, Abraham performed the circumcision, because by Yishmael and by the other servants, Abraham performed the lower circumcision, which says, you shall circumcise the foreskin of your heart. Avraham, but Abraham acquired and merited a higher circumcision, that God says, I will circumcise your heart. Okay, therefore it says, he was circumcised. How? Through God. Furthermore, this gives us a deeper interpretation of what it means that in the middle of the day, high noon, Abraham performed the circumcision. The middle of the day can also mean the essence of the day. Of what day? Hayom, this day. What is this day? It is the day that will be totally light and totally long and never ending and only good, because light is synonymous with good. It was on this day, in other words, Abraham acquired and tasted from the world to come, the day that will be only light and only good forever and ever, because he was able to go into the essence of the day, not only the middle of the day, but the essence of the day, which the essence of the day is true and eternal. And the essence of this day, this revelation had God, this giant and this humongous revelation, that will be in the world to come. This will be the revelation of God's much good, eternal good, magnanimous good. It's a day that will be only good and always good. And therefore, when a person has the capacity to reveal the essence of the day, then one is circumcised. Then you have acquired the superior circumcision, the circumcision of that God himself performs this circumcision for you. Then one acquires this level of Abraham, that Abraham was by God circumcised. Yeah, I finished the Maimer. I hope you enjoyed it. listen to it a few times, and let us truly, truly be worthy that God should come down and circumcise each and every one of us, which means out this life, this glory, and this goodness for all eternity that is truly infinite, beyond intellect, beyond our understanding.